Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. Imagine talking to someone who in his own right has been very famous in the musical world, traveling around the world, entertaining with some of the top early rock and roll stars, etc. Imagine talking to someone with that background that then shares with you his experience in working with white supremacy groups that hate blacks or that hate Jews, and that over the years, having had several of them, and I mean several, like multiple, way over 40, not just the rank and file, but the absolute leaders of the Ku Klux Klan, take off their robes and give them to him and saying, "Thank you for helping me see a new way." And they were great friends. And Daryl Davis is the man's name. And I'm so grateful to Nick Sonnenberg for asking me to co-host one of his podcasts. If you haven't seen Nick's podcast, go to Leverage, look up Leverage or Nick Sonnenberg on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And you'll find that he does a wonderful job of interviewing and attracting some great people to talk to. And I'm so grateful that he asked me to participate in this. You know, it was Stephen Covey, I think, that says something like, to change ourselves effectively, we first have to change our perceptions. But then it was Aldous Huxley that said, there are the things that are known, and then there are the things that are unknown, and in between are all the doors of perception. Well, how do you move your perception closer to the known? You get out there and you start talking. And if you listen to Daryl Davis, so I'm so grateful. Last Wednesday we did and it went for like an hour and a half. And I think he's going to release it in 2 separate things. Let me tell you one small thing that I learned from that. And there was so much, I mean, he talked about the rights of human beings. His background was his dad was in the Foreign Service. He traveled all around the country. He didn't go to school in the projects. He went to school with mixed races of all kinds of different countries with no discrimination. So when he came back to the United States, he was like, whoa, what is this? And he had to ask himself, and he asked himself over and over and over again, how can you hate me if you don't even know me? And that question propelled him to reach out, to hopefully by listening and getting to know the adversary and understand them, he was then able to allow the adversary to get to know him. And how can you hate me if you don't even know me? And by building those bridges, he's able to make such an impact. And what an example. There's people that throw rocks at him and say, you got to be crazy, you're doing this, people from his own race. But if you just listen to the tenets of what he's doing, he's told us, in this country, we spend way too much time talking about the other person, or talking at the other person, or past the other person. Why don't we just spend some time talking with the other person? And so let me just share with you 3 rules that he said about going into a situation with somebody that you have different perceptions. When you go into that situation, whether you're going to have a discussion, whether it's about race, whether it's about any of the controversial subjects, abortion, our current presidency, nuclear weapons, global warming, the war in the Middle East, whatever the hot topic is, you do not go into it unless you've taken time. See, we walk in there and we just assume these things. See, unless you've taken time to research and study your adversary, if you want to call him that, the other person's position and their ideology, so you understand where they're coming from, so that you're able to speak to them on their level. And even though they may not like you, they then will respect you if they see that you have knowledge of their background and their position. Number 1, know the other person's position. Number 2, know who you are. Know who you are. Make sure you have your self-esteem there. Because if you don't know who you are, you have no business going into a room with somebody that knows who they are. because they will tell you then who you are. And depending upon your level of self-esteem, you might walk out of there believing that. The third thing is respect. Respect their rights. No matter what they say, you don't have to respect what they say, but you have to respect their rights to say it. You have to respect their rights to say it. Now, I'd like to tell you tons more. I am glad I audited it. I'm glad we have it video. And I'm going to make sure that you know when it's going to be on. It's going to be on iTunes. And just do a search under Sonnenberg and iTunes. And I think, once you get into that thing, you'll see when it pops up. But I'll let you know through Meaningful Monday as well. I may even talk to you about a few more things that I learned from him. It helped my perception. It brought my perception of those things that I know and don't know even closer together. You can't have good discussions without having a good relationship. Have a great week. Stand and lift where you stand. Stand up and lift where you stand this week. Let's make it a meaningful week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.